Idaho Rural Partnership. Uh, we've been doing community reviews like this one here in Blackfoot since 2000. So for now 20 years, going on 21 years. Process has evolved and shaped in different ways over those years. And now it's evolving in this pandemic kind of virtual environment. So thank you all for your effort to connect in this way, and particularly thanks to Mayor Carroll, Kurt Hibbert from the city, and Lisa Tornabene from the city, just for kind of being patient with us and working through how to have this conversation in this kind of virtual way. It's kind of been step by step, and I think we've worked through it pretty well, and I think have a good agenda developed. And fingers crossed, the technology works for us without any hitches. Okay, so I'm going to say a few words just about kind of what this little journey is about that we're about to go on, and kind of what you in Blackfoot have signed on to, or hopefully will sign on to here over the next few hours and extending into next month. So the community review process is a 3-phase process, and we completed phase 1. And some of you raise your hand, Blackfoot folks, if you remember participating in phase 1, which was in early 2019. Okay, so 4 or 5 of you maybe that I can see. I think we're extending on to 2 pages. So anyway, a number of you participated in that. So phase 2, which is what we're embarking on now, is really kind of taking the results of phase 1 and developing those results further, and developing specific strategies and projects that the community can act on and complete in response to what the results of phase 1. Okay, so phase 1 we call the listen phase. Phase 2 we call the learn phase, where we get into more detail. And phase 3 we call the launch phase, which is really putting the action part of the action plans, actually working on the projects that are developed out of this phase we're starting now. We initially envisioned this meeting being a much longer meeting today and continuing into tomorrow. And now in hindsight, I think it was the right decision to keep this to a 90-minute meeting today. And we'll come back hopefully in the near future, possibly next month, to do that, a deeper dive, to have that 2-day meeting with you all. So this is just kind of a first dip in the water, an initial kickoff for phase 2 of the Blackfoot Community Review. So I think we'll call that good as far as kind of an introduction and a description of why we're here today. Today is really within each of the 3 focus areas that were identified using the results of phase 1. Today is about starting that process of brainstorming projects for each of the focus areas. So many of you have identified a specific interest in one of the focus areas. And if you've not identified that interest, you'll be invited here shortly to select one of the focus areas to be part of and to help work on that particular focus area. So we're going to do quick introductions here in a moment, but just to kind of to dispel any mystery about the focus areas. They are quality housing choices and homelessness, increasing the former and reducing the latter. Housing, our focus area number 2, recreation opportunities in Blackfoot, and focus area number 3, Blackfoot's image and identity. Okay.
Yeah, hand raised. Rocio? Rojo?
Yeah, thanks, Lori. I didn't notice.
I was just raising it to let him know I remembered the first phase.
Oh, okay, okay.
You said raise your hands.
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, and so we're gonna just kind of now move into introductions. Are there any questions about this conversation we're having today? Anybody like really thoroughly confused at this point? Okay, great. So in a few moments, Laurie is going to share a little bit more information about what came out of phase 1, what we did in phase 1, and how these how these focus areas were identified using those results. So what Marcy has displayed on the screen here is the visiting team members. So these are people from different agencies and organizations from the Blackfoot area. And we have one team member from City of Twin Falls. Wendy, I see you joined us. Thank you. And we have several people from agencies and organizations based in Boise, and a couple in Moscow at the university. So you see the team members there. Just to point them out, Brian Dale and Eric Kingston they're co-leading the homelessness and housing choices focus area. Dave Doran with Southeast Idaho Council of Governments is leading the recreation opportunities discussion, and Melissa Hamilton from U of I Extension. Melissa is based in Valley County. Is facilitating the conversation about community image and identity. Okay, and you see everybody else there. Okay, and these are home team folks, and home team Blackfoot folks. We call you the home team. We call ourselves the visiting team. I want to encourage you to, in the chat thread, if you want to introduce yourself that way, to say a little bit about yourselves, that would be awesome. We'll save the chat. So for the home team, the quality housing choices and homelessness, Kurt Hibbert, Cindy Billington, Angela Palmer, Laura Ramirez, and Julie Buck. And for recreation, Mayor Carroll, Jason Denlinger, Allison Isaacs, and for image and identity, Lene Workman and Michael Workman. And we have the people there shown as not selecting a focus area yet. Okay. Just checking in on where we're doing time-wise. We're doing good. Sorry, just bear with me one second. Okay, in the interest of time, I am gonna again encourage you Blackfoot folks to just introduce yourselves in the chat thread, in the chat window, and if you would just introduce yourself, say something about your role in the community, or what brings you to this conversation, what background or what interest. Perhaps it might be how you're employed, or how what's your role in the community, and then share something about how long have you lived in Blackfoot? Okay, that's for the home team folks. Okay, Lori, I'm going to turn it to you to just give us a little summary of phase one.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to give you a summary of results because Lisa, Mayor Carroll, and Kurt Hibbard are going to be doing that in a few minutes. But
Right.
just to remind you, phase one happened in person in May of 2019. There's our advanced team, our visiting team for the phase one part of the community review. John, of course, myself, I'm with University of Idaho. Dave Doran, who's on the call. Julie Buck is on the call. Jutta Gertzen with the Arts Commission, and Shannon Madsen with SBA. We conducted all the listening sessions and toured around Blackfoot and had just a grand old time. It was really wonderful. And I reflect back on opportunities to actually visit communities, and I think I took them a little bit for granted because I'm really missing being there in person these days. We're getting by, but it's just not the same. So anyway, that was the team that came to Blackfoot in May. Before that, we did have a survey. And that's all detailed in the community review report. And there's a link here. If you just go to communityreview.org and then click on the assessment map, you can click on the yellow balloon in where Blackfoot is, and that will take you to the report for phase one. And I wanted to give a shout out to the folks from Blackfoot who helped us pull together some great listening sessions. We had over 100 people participate in those listening sessions, and just had some really great conversations about a whole range of things that you're going to be hearing more about in a few minutes. These were the 3 questions that we asked every group we talked with. And then we concluded our visit with a town hall meeting where we had the visiting team had spent the day kind of compiling and organizing all the information that we got, both from the survey and from the listening sessions, and kind of pulled things out into, I think we had 5 listening session or 5 focus areas, excuse me. And what we are working on tonight are 3 of those focus areas, the ones that had the most interest at this point from the community in moving forward. So that's in a nutshell what we did for phase one. And I think that's it.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about that? Great. Great, thanks, Marcy. I was just gonna look for that. Melissa, we haven't said hi to you yet. Are you on the call? Melissa Hamilton?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Oh, there, great. Hi, Hart. There you are.
I waved to introduce me. I came into video and then I went back into my hole. I'm functioning out of the office right now, and I do have limited bandwidth at the office, so I'd keep my video off to try to keep the internet connectivity a little bit stronger. So I apologize for having my video on.
Great. Why don't you introduce yourself quickly, Melissa? And Melissa's going to kind of help us transition into the small group breakout sessions by offering us some ground rules for the breakout sessions.
Sure. Would I be able to share my screen? I believe I'm a co-host, so I'll go ahead and give that a shot.
Okay. All right.
Donna, are we flipping the order then, Mark and Lisa and
Oh,
after?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I can wait.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I skipped. I'm sorry. Thanks, Lori. We skipped a piece here, a real important piece. Yeah, I think we should go back. I don't think we should skip. So now we're going to hear a little bit more detail. What were the challenges and concerns and opportunities that people brought up in phase one related to each of the three focus areas? Let's just go in the order listed here. So, Mayor, would you start us off talking about the recreation opportunities area?
Sure. Hopefully everybody got a copy of a one-page email titled Recreation Related Data from Blackfoot Community Review Survey and Listening Sessions. I'm not going to try to iterate anything that's on there or try to get you to think a certain way about these things. I do want to say, though, that many things are important to residents of a city. Health and safety are critical to all of us. So cities provide safe and regulatory compliant water and sewer systems. Cities provide security for you and your family, which is extremely important to everybody. So we have police departments, fire departments, and ambulance services. Sometimes as residents, we take for granted things like our street infrastructure system and sanitation and garbage pickup services. These are all necessary to all of us as residents.
Angel soft with fresh lavender scent. The scent.
What happened there?
No, it's the background noise, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
go ahead.
Anyhow, those are all important for the safety and hygiene of ourselves and our families. But then we have to look for a good quality of life. That's what all of us are really about. We meet the needs of safety and security services, then we want to have a good quality of life. And that's where recreation comes in. My dictionary defines recreation as the refreshment of body and mind. I'm sure if we poll any 10 of you, we'll get at least 5 different ideas of what meaningful recreation would be defined as. We have a number of recreation opportunities in Blackfoot. Jensen Grove is kind of the showpiece. We have the green belt. A lot of people in the community and outside the community travel to Blackfoot to use that green belt and Jensen Grove. We have stellar soccer fields, baseball fields, and softball fields. We have opportunities to play tennis competitively and recreationally in Blackfoot. We've got the municipal golf course, which draws people from all over. For other recreation needs, we have the New Art Theater, the Blackfoot Performing Arts Center, and more. What other needs are there in Blackfoot? That's the task that's going to be in front of the recreation focus team. As I said before, you've been given a one-page digest of recreational related input from phase one. Please use that as a jumping off point, and let's see what this team can identify for projects and future development. Thanks again for your time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the feedback looks like. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Kurt, to summarize housing and homelessness.
I'll kind of take the same position as the mayor. We've got a wonderful summary written up on a sheet that talks about some of the things that were identified during the phase one. We got some really good input from the citizenry about some of their concerns. And we're talking about the need for more housing and how we're being priced out of housing. And you know, we went around on the bus tour, looked at some blighted housing and some things that needed to turn over, and just some good things that we had good input about some of the issues and identified not only a lack of a broad spectrum of housing types, but also, you know, the kind of a lack of, well, we've kind of got a homeless problem as well. Since the listing set, or since those original sessions that we had about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we've made some pretty significant progress, and that's what I want to talk about down at the bottom of that sheet. Since those meetings, we've had a significant rise and a surge in single-family housing development. We've had multiple new subdivisions with multiple building permits, with housing being constructed, but it's only taking care of really one segment of, it's kind of a higher end housing market, and isn't doing a lot for the whole spectrum. And so we still have a problem there. We also have seen a multi-housing, couple of very large multi-family housing projects going. And in fact, there's two that are in the wings right now that are under development to start this spring. We've also seen a situation where the very low income housing market, the availability of that housing has substantially declined. We've got what might have been called affordable housing being redeveloped right now, and a lot of people are being forced out of their homes and having to look for new situations. The rental housing market has started transition to where there's significantly less affordability, which really puts a lot of pressure on the very low income housing market because people can't afford rents. That's an issue. We do, however, have a real success in that we passed the tiny house ordinance a little over a year ago, and we do have a tiny home subdivision going in one of the areas that was formerly a very blighted trailer court on that south end of town. When we went by with the bus tour, we got to see that, and all those old, really dilapidated trailers are being pulled out and removed, and new housing stock is going to go in there that meets HUD criteria. So we're pretty excited about that. Also, another issue that has arisen to a different level than it was a year ago is the year-round recreational vehicle living, which is just uninsulated camp trailers. People are trying to live year-round in those for lack of any other place to live. And so, like the mayor said, I'm not trying to say, and I don't want to say that there's only one solution or a silver bullet here. We're really looking forward to this session right now and what the community, the input we can get, because I think there's probably multiple ways to approach some of these issues. And so that'd be my report, John.
Thank you. Great. Now we're going to hear from Lisa summarizing the image and identity focus area for us.
I just want to thank everyone for being here.
Lisa, you're muted.
Well, I thought I unmuted. I apologize for that. Let me get over to my little cheat sheet here. So I just, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. We at the city understand that image and identity is directly related to our economic development and pride in our city. And we take that very seriously. Some of the data that we received in response to the survey was related to that. So difficulty keeping businesses thriving, poor community appearance both in the neighborhoods and in the downtown, a concern for loss of small businesses, lack of small business growth, no sense of place. And I'm not going to read that laundry list of items there, but you can see the 3 columns where people identified things that aren't necessarily in the city of Blackfoot, but they're nearby within driving distance that do help provide a sense of place for our citizens. And we want to enhance those and essentially market those more and do a better job of that, I think. Some responses to how we get there are clean up the outskirts of town, the entrances into the city, improve Main Street. And I think a huge one is that citizens need to take ownership of our image. that was cited as a critical item on the survey. And I believe that hopefully that's something that we can discuss today and start to work on. Some of the write-in comments, again, I'm not going to read all of these, but there was a positive response to the murals. Some of the newer businesses or the older businesses that have revitalized the new art, Blackfoot Movie Mill got a lot of kudos for what they've done for our community. But again, some landlords don't ensure that the outdoor space is kept free of garbage and debris, questioning some incentive programs, teaching people the importance of outdoor cleanliness, and the importance of keeping areas clean. So, and I think also related to that, not related to that, but one of the other items was just the diversity that we have in our community. One of the comments was, we have Mormons, Native Americans, Hispanics, and we're all family oriented. I would extend that to, everyone. I think we have a great diversity of thought in Blackfoot. I think we have a great diversity economically in Blackfoot, and I think we have a really good opportunity here to better create or recreate our image and identity. The city itself developed a new logo. We feel it's progressive. It includes our mountain range that we see in the distance, and then the coloration represents agriculture and the Snake River, so the brown and the blue. So we're hoping that that helps freshen up the city administration's look from externally. Hopefully the website has helped with that, because we're really working hard on that to keep that fresh and progressive. So I'm really pleased to be a part of the image and identity team from the home perspective, and I'm happy that everyone's here for their input.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Before we transition into the breakout sessions, I meant to ask the mayor if he wanted to say anything else, just to kind of welcome people to this conversation. Mayor Carroll, did you want to say anything else along those lines?
Well, I think everybody's kind of given a bit of a welcome.
Yeah.
I just sincerely hope everybody is sharing the excitement all of us have and the anticipation as we come together to address the needs of our community. In the next few minutes, you'll get to know your individual focus groups and the facilitators and leaders of that. So again, we hope you have fun with this process, and be sure and express all your good ideas. We need them. And thanks again for attending.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Melissa, are you in the wings?
I am.
Great.
Shared my screen, and so hopefully you can see community development successful collaboration considerations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Excellent. And so I just wanted to give an overview of kind of what it takes to collaborate, and just give you kudos, like Mayor said, for coming together today to envision your future. Sometimes when you're working to envision your future, it's really important to think about the timing and the clear need of that project. Oftentimes projects will happen, but maybe you didn't have exactly the right players, or you needed to connect with an outside resource for it to take root. And so revisiting projects that maybe have tried to be launched in the past, because timing and having the right players in the right place at the right time is really a critical part of community development. Getting people involved, a strong, diverse stakeholder group is important. Sometimes maybe you have the idea, the concept, the resources, but you need to get broader support. Credibility and openness of the process, getting people on board with it, and understanding all the details before they make up their own assumptions about what the project is about is important. So clear communication. Having both top-down and bottom, like grassroots support, can often provide a lot of success with programs. And overcoming that mistrust and skepticism. And oftentimes just building relationships takes time, and onboarding people takes patience. And so if you have this great idea and you want everybody to be on the same page all at once, just realize that's probably not going to happen. And it's going to take a while to get people to that place. And then having strong leadership process and celebrating. And so sometimes you have a really grand scheme about what you want to do. Think about all the little steps that you've taken to get there and make sure you pause to say, hey, you know what? We're working towards it, but that's a really big goal. And we've taken these little steps to get there. And so as you guys go into your breakout rooms, you're going to be thinking about different projects you can do to reach your vision. And I just wanted to kind of let you know or share this insight about collaboration considerations. Also, once you get into that room, I think it's important to think about ground rules for discussion. And I've put some ground rules up here, but I encourage you to use that chat room right now and just get used to the Zoom space, because this is a different way of communicating. And so while if you were meeting in person, it might have a side conversation while someone else is talking, in Zoom, I actually encourage my participants to do that. So if you're chatting in the chat box right now, that lets me know you're engaged in this process. And so feel free to have side conversations in the chat room. If someone says something that inspires you or gives you an idea, pop it into that chat room and say, hey, great idea. Wow, what if we did this? And so that chat room can be an ongoing feed. So plug some additional ground rules into that if you see something that should be on here that's not. And so a ground rule that I think that should be on here that's not is just if you're not the one talking on Zoom, I would encourage you all to keep your microphones on mute. And that can help reduce the background noise. It is a little bit different to have to remember to unmute yourself and put yourself back on mute. But that way we know we're not going to have like dogs barking or kids kind of kid noise and all those wonderful things that we're experiencing.
Oh, Melissa, we lost you, I think.
We just had a broadband hiccup, I think. Yeah. Melissa, if you can hear me, turn off your video. Perhaps that will help. Oh. Melissa, are you there?
I think we may have actually lost her.
Okay. I want to.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, she back?
Are you back, Melissa? Oh. I think we may have.
No, she's.
Do you want me back or you guys moved on?
Oh, great. There you are.
This is the realities of my office. I apologize.
Yeah.
If you turn off your video, Melissa, does that help?
Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah.
But it's mostly if the phone rings in my office, I lose my internet. So silence is agreement. And so what that means is that, and especially in the Zoom world, I find that this is a great ground rule. If you're the leader of a process and you're like, does everybody think that's good? Do you like that idea? It's harder to get everybody to say, yeah, I like it, to get 10 people to say, yeah, I like it, than it is just to say, here's the idea. Does anybody object? And I think that's a really efficient way to move forward. And so if you have an idea and it's not where the trend is going, make sure you speak up, because silence could essentially be considered agreement. When you're speaking, speak with respect. These are all your community members, and come into this space recognizing that there's a shared love for this community, and that's why everybody's here. And the beauty of community is that there's different people with different ideas, multiple perspectives. Sometimes when we're doing this like project idea generation, some people are scared to say something because they think, oh, if I have this idea, people are going to expect me to be the leader of it. And I just wanted to say that it's okay if you have an idea, but you don't necessarily want to be the person to move it forward. All types of contributions are welcome. And so if you're just an idea giver, you can say, I'm more of an advisory role here. I just want to interject ideas and see if they stick somewhere, or see if someone else wants to run with them. Maybe your contribution is that you really like organizing people, and so you can be that organizer. Or maybe you just want to show up to a work day, bring your shovel and help make it happen, and then just be ready for the next time they need you to come and work. And so all of those types of contributions are welcome. Many hands make light work. And so it's good to leave the judgment out of it. One person always has ideas, but they don't move them forward. Those are not necessarily constructive statements that are going to help you reach your goal. And so just realize everybody contributes the way that they can when they can. And I thought I'd just send you off into those break rooms with a little inspirational quote: make no little plans, they have no magic to stir men's blood, and probably themselves will never be realized. Make big plans, aim high, and hope and work. And that's a planning quote from Daniel Burnham. So thank you for letting me kind of go over some ground rules and share some collaborative community success pointers. And I'll see you all in the identity breakout room. So thanks for having me.
Great, good teaser right there. Before we break up into the 3 rooms, I just want to underline or emphasize, and I thought of this when Melissa was reading the bullet that said silence is agreement. These sessions we're doing today, this conversation is really about brainstorming. It's really about just getting as many ideas out and for discussion as possible. We're not going to be comparing ideas one to the other or ranking or voting on ideas. This is just about brainstorming the ideas. That other work, the prioritizing, the refining, the comparing, that all happens down the road. Okay, is that clear to folks? Okay, today's about brainstorming. Okay, great. Okay, I think we're ready to break up into the 3 rooms, and so I think you'll all see an invitation to select a room or an area.
So if you'll see an invitation, some of you, it depends on, we're finding out sometimes it depends on your Zoom and your setup. If you see an invitation pop up to select the room that you would like to be in, one of those 3 focus area groups, go ahead and select the room you'd like to be in. If you don't see that pop up, I'll try to go down the list and I can put you into a room if you let me know which one that is. So and if you're on the phone, I will have to put you in a room. So be patient with me. It does take a minute or 2 to get sorted and to get it set up. So here we go.
Looks like most everybody's back in.
And we did not get to the second slide in the housing group, but that's okay.
What slides were those?
There was one.
Just kidding.
Well, we knew getting to that slide was gravy. Was kind of the idea that if we could get to it, that would be good, but and that would give us even more of a jump start on the discussions that will happen next for the next step of doing this action planning around the ideas. So not to worry, we're not going to drop it. We'll pick up where we left off when we get together next time.
Okay, who would like to go first? So now we have this opportunity to kind of share with each other what was talked about in each breakout. And the housing group, one thing we also forgot to do was identify one of us to report on behalf of the group. We did not get that done.
Why don't you share your screen, John, and share your notes?
Okay. I thought my notes were shared, but apparently maybe they're not. Oh, Lord.
Well, this is Brian. I kind of help draw out a lot of that. BJ or Mark, maybe you were able to kind of listen into all the conversation. Would you be able to help us summarize as part of our visiting team leadership what you saw?
Right now, I can't even find.
Okay, this is BJ. I did take some notes because that's how I do everything. I was hearing a lot of emergency needs, a lot of communication needs to find what services are available or if they're not. There was issues of emergency shelter services, what kind of funding would be available, developing a master list, getting a mentoring program, doing transitional and supportive housing for people that are in need of housing, warming stations, having showers available, and other critical needs. That's the note. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Now
sorry.
there's the real list.
Yeah, I'm struggling with technology, but I'm slowly getting there.
Okay, and I probably missed a couple.
Yeah, so this is most of the housing, the ideas for housing that we talked about.
Great, that was really short and sweet. So if anyone from some of the other teams have anything to add or a quick question, or we can move on and get the other group's summary.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, does anybody have anybody else from the other focus areas have any housing idea they want us to add to this list?
Yeah, I would just add one quick one. I think in awareness of what's already out there, and ourselves, for example, for NeighborWorks Pocatello, we've really spread our wings and are serving Bingham County now, and there's all certain niches that we cover, and we cover a portion of that, the big housing niche, but as far as fixing up homes and including mobile homes now that need some critical repairs, that we're pretty good at that, and have been pretty, not very busy in Bingham County so far with what we have. So just kind of add there maybe an awareness of what partners have to bring to the table.
Oh, great. I got that. I got that on my list. And that was Mark, right?
Right.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Great. Thank you.
I think that was Julie's idea, spoke to that too, the master resource list, so people can learn what housing and housing assistance is available.
Yes.
Yeah, and Southeast Idaho has a strong homeless and housing coalition. And we do have Scott Smith from the Bingham Crisis Center on board, and maybe one other person in Bingham County, but that's as far as like resource lists and knowing what's available, just really active participation from as many folks as possible in Blackfoot on the Homeless and Housing Coalition of Southeast Idaho. And BJ and I are both on there.
Yeah. Another thing that was brought up, I think Kurt talked about it, is an area in Blackfoot, the hobo camp area. And that's something that could be looked at as a community improvement that would help with housing and maybe make it a place for focus.
All seem like some really great ideas and good places to start. We should probably go to the next group.
Yes.
And John, I dropped a link in the chat for a model of what BJ's maybe talking about that's in Eugene. I've been out there a couple times.
Great. Thanks, Eric. That.
So I apologize for not taking more thorough notes because I was also dealing with tech stuff. So somebody from the recreation group would like to speak to some of these things.
We also did not nominate somebody to speak on behalf of our group. If I could, maybe Kathy or Wendy were both listening intently and helping take notes as well. So if that's okay with everybody, maybe Wendy or Kathy could report out.
Make a stab at it, and then Kathy add what I missed. What I heard is facilities. I heard especially facilities that cater to indoor opportunities, whether it's classrooms or more gym space. I think the pool was identified as something to be addressed, figuring something out with that, and adding to tennis courts, pickleball courts, things like that. Also, I would say, I don't know how we used makerspace, but crafting, just classroom space where you could add different kinds of programming outside of sports related. And then we didn't get very far into the second slide, but what I was hearing was that the community needs things to do, and that increased recreation opportunities would improve health and well-being for the community and change attitudes. So that's kind of my summary. And then if David or Kathy have something to add.
Are you sharing, Marcy? Maybe you could type what she just said into the why it's important for Blackfoot.
And Marcy, I typed in your slide and I tried to send it to you. I don't know if you got it, but.
I was taking notes for the that second slide. So I'll send those to you, Marcy or John or whoever needs them once I get them typed up, because I wasn't able to type in the PowerPoint either.
Oh,
yeah, we all kind of, we muddled through, but we did, we divided and conquered as far as I'm concerned. And I think between the three of us capturing notes and what Marcy captured on screen, we can report back to Lori or John with our feedback from the group.
Okay. That's great. Why don't you send all your notes to Marcy, because she'll be compiling. And then she's the contact also for.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. And we'll keep Marcy updated. Thank you.
For people who wake up in the middle of the night and think, I forgot to add this idea, you can send it to Marcy and we'll capture it. Okay, image and identity.
All right, let me share my screen. We did do things a little bit different than everybody else did it, I think. But we did appoint somebody actually to talk about it today. I hope this makes sense to you. If you see can you see my slide?
Yep, I can see it.
All right, so as you can see, I started with the one word, then the vision that everybody did, and then the ideas that you guys come up with.
Perfect. So we talked about a lot of things having to do with the identity of Blackfoot and what could possibly become the identity of Blackfoot, not necessarily what already is. So the things that we're talking about, in the one word that describes Blackfoot were the river, vistas, amazing, the people, diversity, and Blackfoot being very cautious, which I think is one that we all kind of agreed with. But in order to overcome that cautiousness, we want the Blackfoot to become something better. And so some of the ideas that we talked about were establishing a marketing plan for the entire community and the city as a whole, encouraging people to come to town for specific reasons. We talked about having those people from Yellowstone, like the people that are on the freeway coming to Yellowstone, and getting them off the freeway and into town through a marketing campaign or as a community effort as a whole. We talked about advertising billboards to attract people from the freeway that talked about, the Potato Museum and other assets in town. We talked about a lot of things that would benefit the community. So things like a rapid park on the river, mountain biking trails, an off-road park in the desert, things like establishing dirt bike races for enduro riders, encouraging festivals and fairs to be held often. So art festivals and other community events like the Day of the Dead and things that encourage diversity as well as specific interests. We talked about maybe establishing pedestrian downtown opportunities. So instead of parking in those spaces, we encourage people to walk the downtown area. We did talk about establishing a diversity of industry in the community. So jobs and creating tourism and also plenty of opportunity for things in the tech industries and engineering and the energy sector. So a lot of other opportunities besides just the ones that we currently have. I don't know if you had any other notes there on that page, but
that was all I was able to capture.
We talked about a lot of things pretty quickly, and but mostly the best part about what we're trying to establish is what Blackfoot could be. We all know what Blackfoot is, and we wish that and hope that with some a little bit of effort we could really establish what Blackfoot could be.
That's
great.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. You're just to make one 10-second comment. When you talked about Blackfoot being cautious, that really kind of caught my ear because I wondered, oh, is that something they want to own? Is that a good thing, or is that something they want to influence or change? Because it could be either. You could think of it either way. I thought that was interesting.
We definitely want to change that.
Okay. I got that. Yeah.
We want to throw caution to the wind.
There you go.
Alan.
All right, Kurt.
No, that's funny. I'm quoting you on that one in the future.
Anybody else have any comments or other ideas for either the recreation team or the image and identity team? Any other feedback? Okay, great. All right, so let's wrap up. We're right up against our time limit. Doing great. So I don't remember if I was going to kind of summarize this or who, but I'll just kind of kick off this closing, and we'll look forward to talking again sometime in the near, not distant future. So the next steps are to come back together within the next 2 months and to kind of develop these ideas further, give us an opportunity to reflect and maybe add a couple different ideas, and then we'll get into that process. Okay, for each focus area, what are the 2 or 3 ideas that we really want to pursue and develop further, and i.e. develop an action plan for the 2 or 3 highest priority ideas within each of the 3 focus areas. So that's the task here, after the new year. And that's what the 2-day session is about. And now that we've done this conversation here, I think it's very likely we can shorten up this next session, so it won't be 2 full days. But it's also important to say that in our upcoming conversations, there'll be like a town hall type of opportunity where anybody and everybody in Blackfoot can kind of look at these ideas we're developing and kind of express their thoughts or give their input to these ideas, so that it's not just this group meeting tonight, but we'll benefit from that larger community-wide input.
John, I have a question. Nancy Richardson from Idaho Tourism. This is the first time I've had the privilege of participating in a community review. I've been asked to a number of times and wished that I had the time to do it. But during the pandemic, I'm not traveling and promoting Idaho, so I can do this. I have a lot of ideas to share with my group. What is the protocol at this point for us? Are we encouraged to visit with each other outside of these meetings? And I mean, I have some comments and some first round validations for some of the ideas and thoughts that came up. Do we get each other's email addresses? Are our contact information shared? Are we encouraged to have conversations outside of this forum, or do you want to keep them within the forum so everybody's on the same page?
Here's my take on that. And we're kind of, to some degree, we're figuring this out as we go, because this is a new.
I understand. Yeah.
But here's my first initial take on that I think it's perfectly fine for the visiting team to bounce around ideas with each other between visiting team members and put some thoughts together. And at the same time, I think it's important that if the visiting team wants to offer some ideas or feedback, that input is not commingled with the home team ideas, that they're kept separate and identified as, these are the ideas that the home team talked about, and these are some other ideas that the visiting team might want to offer and invite the community to think about, and just keep that a little bit of that separation. I think is.
I think what I'm getting at is that I have some very tourism focused responses to some of the ideas that came up that we don't maybe need to use our community review time with. And I am not the representative for Region 5, but Blackfoot's right on the border of Region 5 and Region 6, and I am the Region 6 rep. So what I've done, I hope this is okay, I've put my email address, nancy.richardson@tourism.idaho.gov. I've put that in the chat box. Please, anyone on any of the teams, especially the recreation and the community and the identity team and image team, email me with anything you think is a tourism specific or highly related question, problem, issue. And maybe we can work through some stuff to move on down the road a little bit further before our next meeting.
I'm just going to jump in here and say, I think, like Eric put that link in the chat box, I think anybody on the visiting team that has some ideas for the community, let's send those to Marcy, and we'll just actually compile them and separate them out into focus areas, and we'll get that back to everybody in the community. I mean, people can start, especially when we're talking about some of the housing and homelessness issues. Oh my goodness. You don't want to wait till, January for some of those, maybe. So, there may be an opportunity for people to kind of get started on thinking about putting some wheels on some things to get going. But that's just me. I think let's keep some momentum going. We keep losing momentum because of the darn pandemic. That wasn't the word I was going to use, darn. But I think, we, given the issues we have with technology, it's just something we're going to have to deal with. I highly encourage considering doing this in January as soon as possible, as like a hybrid approach. Maybe small groups could probably get together in Blackfoot, but I'm telling you, I am on a committee for a national conference. We were hosting it in Coeur d'Alene in May. We just canceled. Okay, we're not going to be traveling normally until
who knows,
summer at minimum. And so if you want to wait till we can all be together, it's going to be like next September. So we're just going to have to buck up and do this, and do it with the Zoom technology that we have. In my humble opinion, we can manage. It's not ideal, but I say let's move forward. And then all the things you see on the screen are elements of what we'll do. The other incentive is that some of these things like supporting a community coach and a $1,500 grant are part of a larger grant that I have at University of Idaho. That grant ends on May 1st. So some of these things, and as we're getting towards the end of the grant, the grantees have been really awesome about saying, hey, we haven't been spending any money on travel for this. So go ahead and spend it on giving some extra grants. So there may be some things we can do as we're getting down to the wire on this grant that could really help the community move forward. So that's a little incentive to not sort of hold off and wait and see when we can get together to finish this up, but let's keep moving.
Great.
Sorry, I got excited when Nancy was talking about ideas to share because, that's the kind of thing we get excited, and we do want to keep the momentum up. And I'm assuming community members are feeling the same way.
Right. Okay, so I'm not going to spend any more time going over these bullets. I'm hoping you've all looked at them by now. So just be looking for email communication about just kind of talking about our next get together. And you'll definitely receive communication before the end of the year and possibly in the next week. Do we have anything else we need to touch on, Lori or Marcy? What's the next?
We've got a poll really quick.
Okay, and that's our.
You want to do it?
That's our closing. Why don't you go ahead? Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll close out and say goodnight. This is for the home team people only, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
We won't get to 100%.
Okay, so this is for each Blackfoot person to kind of respond to this question.
And it's anonymous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited.
Oh, excellent.
Even though I don't get to vote.
That's not very anonymous, Nancy.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm Priscilla. I'm from Blackfoot. I want it to be anonymous. I am very excited for new changes, better stuff for our community. That's just super exciting.
Right. Thanks, Priscilla. Okay, I agree. We should just move forward virtually as best we can, and it frustrates me because I still have my music on 8-track tapes, so I'm an analog person. So I get frustrated with the technology, and I'm slowly getting used to it. So. Okay, anything else for the good of the order, or can we say goodnight and goodbye for now?
Okay.
Okay, I think we're done.
Much, everybody.
Thanks for sticking.
Everybody.
Thanks for sticking a few minutes over.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Everybody
Thank you.
who participated tonight. It's been a great effort.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Thank you
Bye.
for inviting us.
Yeah.
Good luck. This is going to be good for Blackfoot. Merry Christmas.